SpaceX has gone through their initial public offering, and by all measures, it was a smashing success. Now, with that out of the way, what's next for SpaceX, as well as the industry as a whole? Basically, where do we go from here? Please buckle up and put away your tray tables in the stowed and locked position. Project Tomorrow Orbit 18, Episode 18, is now departing.
Good morning. How's everything up in the sky?
Now, it's worth noting before we get started that we're not giving anyone financial advice here. So don't go buy stock based on anything we say here. Always talk to your financial advisor. We are not financial analysts, so don't do that. Second, many of us on the show do have SpaceX stock, right? So we have ownership there. Just keep that in mind as you're watching the show. But that's not the point of the show. The point of the show is not to tell you whether you should buy or not buy stock, and we're not going to give you any financial advice here. The point of the show is, SpaceX had an IPO, and it was a very large. It was the largest IPO in history, and that's going to have an impact on industry, one way or another. And I guess the question to the entire group today is going to be, what does that impact actually look like? Is this going to be a windfall for aerospace? Is this going to elevate all of aerospace up, and all of a sudden companies that were having a hard time finding money are going to suddenly find money? Or is all that money going to get sucked into SpaceX? What does this look like? What is this impact on aerospace itself? Dave, why don't we start with you?
I think there's a short-term impact. If people did follow the IPO, SpaceX opened up the IPO to a lot of retail buyers, which is pretty unusual at levels of investment that the street could afford. That meant that a lot of people had to liquidate other stock positions to have money to try to buy SpaceX stock. Now that they've distributed... Excuse me. Now that they've distributed the shares, that money is going to float back into the market. I think the average distribution was like 20 or 30% or less. So there's a lot of money floating around to reinvest back into where people liquidated it from. So hopefully in the next couple of days, we'll start seeing what the market really looks like. I do think it raised a lot of interest in the space companies. Hopefully other companies can take advantage of some of that and get some other announcements out to get people interested.
Yeah, I mean, are we to take space? How do I word this? Do we think that industry is going to take space a little bit more seriously now, like commercial space? Because historically, it's always been these really small little companies, and there's this graveyard of commercial space companies behind us that have just tried and not succeeded, and the marketplace kind of was like, okay, that's what's the joke? How do you become a millionaire in aerospace? Start a billionaire, right? Yeah. So is this going to change how space is perceived? Is space now a place where people can go and there's actually like a future there? Andrew.
Yeah, I'd like to say it was quite a spectacle watching the IPO come off. I got myself my one share, and I'm very happy with that because now I get to have a say. And I hope that it brings a lot more visibility to the rest of the industry. You're right about the graveyard behind us of all the other companies, but hopefully this raises people who were trying to get into the IPO, who failed for whatever reason, might start looking at other things like I don't know. I'm trying to come up with it. Just Virgin Galactic for one that comes off the top of my head. They sure could help use some help there. But yeah, it's a lot of it. Of course, is we've only had less than a day of trading on it. We'll see what this week coming up shows us as far as whether people want to push into SpaceX or move their money into other areas. And of course, the people move back to their regular stocks in the aerospace industry.
Dystopian Prophet in the chat room has an interesting comment. It's a good one. It's cryptocurrencies weren't taken more seriously after being traded on exchanges, which I feel like is a true statement, right? Like I don't know that crypto is
Yeah.
taken super seriously. However, SpaceX was the largest IPO in history, and to the best of my knowledge, and again, I'm not a financial person, but to the best of my knowledge, that never happened with crypto. And I feel like that enters the culture in a different way. I don't know how else to describe it. It felt like this wasn't just an IPO; it was a culture shift. Does that feel like a fair statement?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if
You know, Elon's much bigger than just SpaceX or Tesla. He's Elon, and people watch him for every little sign that they can find to try to get an edge up on everything else. So yeah, he was. It was about getting the world's attention on him and what he's doing. I mean, first trillionaire. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? We'll see.
Also from the chat room, the name is cut off on my screen, but basically the comment is it's Reason Media. SpaceX is no longer a traditional space company. It's more valued as an AI company, which is weird because it's a space company. Lols. Okay, so that's actually a good point. Like it is a combobulation of a whole bunch of different things. And, historically, SpaceX's mission has been laser focused on Mars, right? Like you go back to the birth of SpaceX and it was all about we're going to Mars, human footprints on Mars. I mean, it even started as like Elon wanting to do a greenhouse on Mars or a little plant thing on Mars. And it kind of grew from there. It was always Mars. With SpaceX going IPO now, is that dream dead? Like, is SpaceX still going to be able to go to Mars? Are they an AI company now? Ryan, your thoughts?
I mean, if Russia actually ended up selling Elon Musk a couple of their old rockets, then SpaceX would have never have existed and we wouldn't be here right now. So it's kind of weird how those original first very early days before SpaceX was even an idea have now led us all to this moment. But it's very obvious that they are pivoting towards the finance world's interest in artificial intelligence. I think it's safe to say, because so much money is being pushed into so many AI companies. The companies that have nothing to do with AI say they're pivoting to being an AI first company, and suddenly, their investment triples or 10x's or even more, or some, ridiculous things are happening in the world right now just by sticking AI on the end of something. And I really hope that this move to have these AI data centers in space is just trying to take advantage of this kind of AI boom as much as possible. Maybe this AI boom is actually more of a bubble, and if it is a bubble and it pops, I hope it doesn't hurt SpaceX too much, but you never know. And if it isn't that, and if they are genuinely focusing on artificial intelligence data centers first and foremost, and Mars is no longer a priority, then that would just be really sad, because personally speaking, the whole reason why I was so interested and continue to be interested in SpaceX's work is because they are the company trying to make human life multiplanetary. And that is something, ever since the dawn of our species, it's in our DNA to explore, and SpaceX was going to help us explore and take us even further than we've been before. And now they're just putting more satellites in space. Like, it doesn't seem... That's not why the company was founded, but it's you can say the same thing about Starlink, but Starlink is a fantastic service. It helps millions of people all around the world and people in space. So, there's two sides of the argument here. Is this a distraction, or is this just going to help them get along? If it wasn't for Starlink, Starship would be nowhere where it is right now. So, there's so many different ways you can look at this subject.
It is.
Yeah.
It's complicated. Go ahead, Andrew.
No, I was going to agree with it. It is very complicated, and the original dream of going to Mars met the reality of modern finance. I think that's the problem. Elon gets distracted very easily. Twitter is a perfect example of that. And so he can keep, if he comes back to Mars, he starts talking about Mars again. Now he has to, as a publicly traded company, he can't make those big swings like he used to. Well, at least we'll see what happens.
Yeah, are you sure?
Yeah. I mean, hang on. Not making those big swings like he used to. That's a really good point. When you're a public company, things change. We talked about this back in the day, the SPACs were all the rage, if everyone remembers, right? Rocket Lab went, I believe Rocket Lab went out on a SPAC. Astro went out public on a SPAC. There were a whole bunch of aerospace companies that went on a SPAC. And, we had these similar conversations back then of like, okay, well, actually, interestingly enough, the argument was you should do what SpaceX does, which is not go public until your company's ready, right? That was always what we said of like, don't do this. This is not going to be great. And it wasn't really great for a lot of these companies. It handcuffed them a little bit because when you're a private company, you can be much more, your engineering can be whatever it needs to be with regards to aerospace. And I don't think people aerospace engineering is not super conductive to like public trading, right? Because it doesn't always succeed. And public traders want to see immediate success, right? Gains, minute after minute sort of thing. And aerospace isn't that. Aerospace is very large and complicated. So that becomes the question of like, now that SpaceX is a public company, are they going to lose their engineering flexibility? Are they going to lose their engineering chops? Are they going to be able to have this extreme speed of engineering that they've had in the past and do things like catch rockets on chopsticks? Jared, your thoughts?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. In a publicly traded company, your board of directors and your executive officers, those who manage the company, have to be essentially fiduciaries. That means that you've got to prioritize the best interests of the corporation and its owners, which are now shareholders. So it's not as it was beforehand, where there was not necessarily, we don't answer to nobody. There were still people to answer to, but it might have been much more internal and private investment as opposed to your shareholders now. So the best choices that you have to make may not be the best priorities of what your company actually wants to do. And I hope that SpaceX won't lose its engineering mojo out of this, but history has shown us with SPACs and other things that if you jump in, you have to play the game, and playing the game sometimes means that the rules you were following beforehand that lets you get that leg up on a whole bunch of other people aren't necessarily the rules that you are allowed to follow anymore. So we'll have to see what happens.
Someone said something, I think it was Ryan, he basically said, or implied, I think, I don't know that you said it outright, that SpaceX was like one of the only companies working on getting humanity, being interplanetary with humanity. Yeah. I'm going to push back on that ever so slightly in that I feel like we do have Blue Origin, and yeah, they're going to the moon, that's not a planet. I know the moon's not a planet, but they are building tools and they are trying to build at least a space economy. So it feels like it's adjacent to doing that. And then we do have other companies. There's Stoke. There are other companies doing big relativities, building a massively huge rocket. There are other groups working on this stuff.
Relativity, the only reason Relativity is still working on building their massive big rocket is because billionaire Eric Schmidt came in at the 11th hour and basically took over the company in a takeover to build a rocket to launch AI satellites into space. That's the whole reason why Eric Schmidt took over Relativity. So that doesn't count. They're out of the game. Stoke Space only came along 5 minutes ago and their rocket is tiny. You can't go anywhere with that. It's a great start. We love Stoke Space, but for the purposes of being a multiplanetary species, Stoke Space are out of the game. Blue Origin, their whole thing is using space to make life better on Earth. That doesn't sound like becoming a multiplanetary species to me. SpaceX was founded.
Hang on.
The entire purpose of SpaceX, they were born for the sole purpose of making life multiplanetary. Mars has always been the guiding light at the end of the tunnel. It has been since before SpaceX became a thing. The reason SpaceX exists is because Elon wanted to launch a greenhouse to Mars on a Russian rocket. They didn't sell him the rocket, so he built the rocket himself. He's still in the process of building the rocket, it turns out, 25 years later. But, that's what I'm trying to say. No other company was founded with such a defined goal, so far in the distance, Mars and SpaceX.
Can I just come out and ask the question bluntly? Is the goal dead? Is Mars dead? Did that die with AI?
So. No,
I don't think so.
No. There are other people trying to get there.
It may have done the typical aerospace slide to the right.
Yeah,
I don't think it's
delay. Delay is the correct D word to use here. So
yeah,
not dead, just delayed.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all. That should always be considered in any kind of plan. Is it's going to slide to the right.
Yeah, I think that's fair. We were talking in pre-show about Blue Origin and like their ambitious schedule, and I have a feeling that's going to slide to the right. I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't, but we'll see. You know, that brings us beautifully into our next topic, which is what is the next big thing, right? Like IPO's done. You know, SpaceX is designed and built and kind of brought to market the idea of reusable rockets. Certainly, they weren't the first ones to do it, but they made it popular, and they made it look easy. But okay, what's next now, right? So Mars is kind of sounds like off the table, at least for a little while. Like that's getting delayed. Where do we go from here? Is it commercial space stations like VAST? Is it commercial ECLSS systems, environmental life support systems? Is it moon bases? Like what's next, Andrew?
To answer your question, yes. Everything's next.
But hang on. Is that's an easy? Well, I'm going to push back on that. That is an easy aerospace nerd. That is an easy aerospace nerd answer, right? Like we're like,
And
yes, do all of the
guilty.
things. Yeah, of course,
Guilty.
of course. All of us here want all of that, right? All of us want
Yeah,
to
okay.
go to
You
Mars,
want
right?
some-
But
Yeah.
what's real? What's actually going to happen here? Because here's what's real: SpaceX Mars plans are delayed, right?
Yeah.
What's real is that the moon timeline is in question because of the explosion.
Slide to the
of
right.
yeah. So like, what's
Slide to the
real?
right.
What can we actually do? What's next?
Well, close in a low Earth orbit is junk removal, satellite retrievals, and extended life. I've talked to many people about that. Of course, the first time when they talk about that, my first question is harpoon, net, or magnet, and they love to talk about that kind of thing. And then we were talking earlier about helium-3. There are plenty of people talking about helium-3. We got to get to the moon and get commercialization started there. They're working on, everybody wants automated factories there. We may need some data centers up there to help support that also. Besides, and of course, talking about Mars, bringing back in, going to the moon first. That's always been NASA's plan, was always to go to the moon first, perfect the plans to go to Mars, then go to Mars. But you go to Mars when you're ready. You don't go just because somebody says, that was great. Elon's vision was fantastic. It helped inspire people. It inspired me, inspired everybody here. But the reality, NASA's where the reality happens a lot of times. And so you go to the moon, perfect it all there, make sure it all works, and then you go there, and you go as it goes a planet. That's the most obvious thing. You go as a planet. But there's also people working on asteroid mining. That's another
Wait,
big thing.
Who's working on asteroid mining now? Because there were a few companies like a decade ago that were doing that, and then they all kind of got bought up, and their IP their intellectual property got kind of like absorbed. And I'm not aware of anyone doing it now. I just haven't been following.
Astroforge.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Astroforge.
of course,
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
one. Yeah. And it's going to be small scale. Obviously, I believe Astroforge is preparing a demonstration satellite and so forth. But there's a lot of crossover between low Earth orbit satellite retrieval and recovery and mining and so forth. So I think there's going to be some common crossover there within companies. Once you perfect the ability to move a vehicle around Earth orbit and retrieve vehicles and so forth, getting to an asteroid and leaving an automated mining system, that's a no-brainer.
Aravale in the chat room says, I really hope that turning lunar regolith into satellite components becomes viable. That's actually not something that I'd heard of before. Turning regolith into, lunar regolith is like the lunar dust, turning it into like bricks for habitation and whatnot, I had heard that, but never satellite components. Is there someone working on that?
Well, Blue has proven using Simulant a few years ago. I remember covering it on Tomorrow Space News. This must have been like 2022 or 2023. But they did use lunar regolith Simulant to make a solar cell in the process of making a solar cell. And satellites, in Earth orbit typically have solar cells on them. So, I mean, technically, as a satellite component, part of that chain is already proven. But if they can make a solar cell out of lunar dust or simulated lunar dust, then I don't see any reason why other components, computing components can't be manufactured on the moon using material from the moon. I mean, SpaceX wants to do that with their massive mass driver AI satellite spitter outer spin launch thing that they've been showing off with their renders. So,
yeah,
man, is AI, like everyone's doing AI, like is AI the future? Are we all just, I don't know about you guys. I'm so sick of AI. I just don't want to talk about it anymore. Like,
Well, I'll throw one thing out, and I think this is sort of what drove Elon's combining XAI into SpaceX is, I think, one of the things that the AI people are more and more discovering is they got infrastructure problems on Earth. They need water and power, and neither one of which is in great supply.
Well, neither one of those things is, well, okay, power you've got in great supply in space, but not water.
Right. So they need water on Earth for cooling. So the orbital version of that is just big radiators. But the big one is power. I mean, Elon just basically
No,
bought and built a power plant across the river from his Ohio XAI plant.
I can't, Dave. I can't let you do it. I can't let you hand wave radiating heat away like that.
It's so easy. What are you
it's-
talking about? Just
Yeah,
heats, go away.
it's look. Radiating heat in data centers here on Earth, where we have thick, wonderful air that we can use to pull the heat away, is already very difficult to do. You know, getting heat is a serious problem in space today, right now, without just huge compute nodes up there. I am not saying that this is impossible. It is absolutely possible. It's just a physics problem. You just have to have a large enough radiator and like cooling things, and you got to go away. But the size of that radiator is going to be crazy, and maybe it doesn't matter. But like, look, I push against Jared on astronomy all the time because I'm like, hey, what? Like, I get it, but like, there's a balancing act here. But the scale can tip too far, and this is I don't know, man. Like. Can you imagine looking up at the night sky and all you see are radiators?
Well, I'll just say that at least what I've seen, they're talking about doing higher delta T's across the radiators to make them smaller, basically pumping the heat to higher temperature to radiate it. So active heat transport to raise the temperature of the radiator, which gets you the higher delta T, which increases your transmission rate. The interesting I'm seeing is at least their SpaceX's mock-up of the AI satellite
I think Ryan has that in the chat room. Yeah.
meant to drive through the Pez dispenser slot in an existing Starship.
Yep.
Okay. Never bet against SpaceX engineering. Just don't do it. You will be sorry.
Yep.
But yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think they're at least looking at it. But I think that's one of the fact that there are now, what is it? Montana just put a freeze on a AI data center, or the customer put a freeze on it. There are serious problems on Mother Earth trying to build out the amount of AI that AI companies want to put in service. The physical infrastructure is really bursting at the seams, and maybe moving it off Earth gives whatever operation gets it off Earth and can make it work a infrastructure advantage that could be worth something. I don't know.
I am an advocate for moving as much space stuff off of Earth, as much manufacturing as we can get off of Earth and into space. Like, let's protect our planet. And I think the best way we can do that is by getting all of that heavy manufacturing, getting all these data centers, getting all these things that pollute off of our planet. I think that is a great idea. But there is a balancing act here. There really is. And like, I can get behind the idea of putting these things on the moon. But again, when you're talking about coating our night sky, I don't know.
I think the moon is the smartest bet at this point. You don't have to worry about the problems with blocking the sky. I mean, that's just more traffic up there is just bad for everybody anyway. And it's a nice, stable location. You've got the advantage of, you have some sunlight, 30 days of sun, or is it 15 days of sun? If you're not putting it to poles, you can take advantage of the cooling effect being in darkness. That helps with any kind of heat rejection. It just makes more sense to put it up there. And you're not limited on, I don't say real estate, but there's plenty of real estate up there, and there's material, as we talked about. You can create your hardware there.
Yeah.
I've got
Yeah,
the
and
perfect plan. Go ahead.
And that power issue could be solved as well, because at the poles you have these areas called peaks of eternal light, which are the opposite of the bottoms of the craters at the poles. Where the bottoms of the craters are permanently shaded, you'll have these peaks at the poles that are in light from the sun constantly. So you could basically have as much power as you can build out full time for the time that you're there. So, lots of different options.
I've got the perfect marketing opportunity. I'll sell you a lunar scale solar plant in the shape of your logo if you fund me.
Sold.
I mean, you've just got to build basically a massive hat and put it on top of the moon, and then you just put solar panels on it, and you've got power forever.
Part of me wants to see a lunar hat now. That sounds amazing. Tell me that wouldn't be awesome. In the chat room, John says the moon is the perfect sandbox for testing. I do tend to kind of agree. I also don't want to destroy the moon, right? Like our nearest celestial body. But I think we've got, I go back and forth here because I do want to protect the planet. I do want to do great things. I want to protect the planet, but I also want to be realistic at that. You still want to have manufacturing. You still want to be able to build things and make life better for humanity here on Earth, which means we're not going to go a step backwards and go back and not have electricity, not have data centers, and not have these things. So can we utilize space to have our cake and eat it too? And I think the answer is yes. Again, it's a balancing act. The thing with space is it is large, and so I hope that we don't ruin our night sky, but also, it's really large. You see those pictures of the Earth with all of the satellites, and it looks like that Earth is just swarmed with satellites, but none of those satellites are to scale. If you were to put those satellites to scale, you wouldn't be able to see a single one. And so my hope is that after we have 1 million satellites swarming the Earth, you still won't be able to really see them. My fear is you will. And then again, just move it to the moon, right? Latency is a non-issue for the command to go to the moon. You process on the moon, you get the command back. Who cares about the latency? And you've got a much more solid, so many things that are advantageous on the moon. So my hope is that we start, and this actually interesting goes to Blue Origin's Bezos vision of a cislunar economy, right? We could do such amazing things. Speaking of the moon, I'm hopeful that NASA is the entity that helps get us back there sooner rather than later. And they did just talk about Artemis 3. We got our crew announcement. We also have a modification to Blue Moon, it sounds like, or at least a desired modification to Blue Moon in order to make our NASA's 2027 timeline. Ryan, I'll hand this baton off to you to talk about Artemis 3 news.
Yeah, I mean, it's so wonderful to finally get that crew announcement, first of all, because we've been waiting and we've been questioning, and Artemis 2, their crew ended up being announced, pretty much 3 years before launch. Of course, the launch got delayed many times, but we were like, come on, you want to launch next summer? When are we getting a crew? And we finally got a crew. So it was great to see that crew being announced. It was also more interesting to hear what the actual reason for that mission is going to be, because of course it is a Earth orbit rendezvous test mission, and they're going to be docking with both a vehicle from Blue Origin and SpaceX. But on top of that, kind of what was interesting is what we didn't see, or what we weren't told, because the Blue Moon, I think they called it a Mark II demonstrator vehicle. It's essentially going to be the crew cabin of a Mark II with the gubbins of a Mark I stuck on top. So it's going to be your tankage, it's going to be RCS. It won't have the BE-7 propulsion systems because it doesn't need to go out to the moon. It's just going to Earth orbit of the Mark I lander, but then it's going to have the Mark II cabin underneath. And it's going to be a proper cabin, pressurized, ecless. The crew are going to go on board, test the Blue Origin systems, test the Axiom Ax EMU spacesuits. Brilliant news for Blue Origin, and according to them, they're going to be ready to support that in June, or they said this time next year, so June 2027. Whether that actually happens or not, they kind of blew up their launch pad the other day. Still to be seen, but NASA and Blue Origin are saying they can do it. So I'm just repeating what they said. Don't come at me. On the SpaceX side of the equation, though, it was more interesting what we didn't hear, because we didn't see anything or hear anything new from SpaceX. They didn't show us any new renders. They didn't show us any pictures of the hardware. They didn't actually tell us anything new. They did say that they were wrapping up construction on the structure of a flight fidelity, quote, flight fidelity crew cabin for Starship HLS. But they already told us in October that they were starting to build that. So it wasn't actually new news. It was just confirmation they're still working on the thing they told us about, what, 9 months ago now? So, 8 months ago, which is, you know, not fantastic. Talking about diverging their attention on different things, maybe, as we have been for the first part of the show. And then, on top of that, if that wasn't bad enough, they're not actually going to be sending up a Starship HLS for Artemis 3. They're going to be sending up a standard off-the-production line Starlink V3, like we saw fly at the end of May, and they're going to stick a docking port on it and call it a day and dock with Orion. So,
And they're not going to have the astronauts enter it.
Yeah, there's nothing for the astronauts to enter either. So, not great news for Starship being the lander for Artemis 4, unfortunately.
I mean, what does that prove? Like, I get why Jared wants to do Artemis 3 and like do Earth rendezvous just to like prove that out. Is it actually super useful to send a non-HLS up and dock with a non-real vehicle? What are we gaining from that particular test?
It is. Well, I should say that he said it is because they get the data of controlling a combined Orion and Starship stack. Starship is a massive vehicle. Orion is a smaller capsule. So Jared Isaacman says that data is useful. But he also said he came on NSS Flame Trench chat show on Friday night, and he told us that if Blue Origin is not ready for Artemis 3, they will push the Artemis 3 mission. Blue Origin is the primary mission for Artemis 3. It isn't Starship. So if Blue can't fly and Starship can, they will delay Artemis 3 because the point of Artemis 3 is to dock and get experience with human life support systems and proper lander, something that the astronauts can actually enter. If it's only Starship, they won't do the mission with just Starship. So Starship is the secondary kind of thing. It's that data collection is valuable, but it's a secondary objective. So on the reverse of that, he didn't say this, but I assume if Blue can fly but Starship can't, they will do the mission anyways, and Starship, it's a secondary objective.
Moving a half step backwards, you talked about how Mark II, which is super confusing because they have a Mark II, which is different than the Mark II that they're talking about. So it's like Mark 2D, Mark II, yeah, okay.
Mark 75%. I have no idea.
Mark II Frankenstein edition,
Yeah.
right?
Mark IIF.
Yeah,
Mark
right.
IIF.
Mark IIF, yeah. So on that, because they're not doing the full tanks, I assume the part of the problem with the full-on Mark II, the one that's actually going to go to the moon with humans and all that fun to land on the moon, the problem with that is that you need to do a hydrogen top-off, right? And we haven't been able to figure out like that was deeply integrated into the systems of New Glenn, which currently are laying in pieces at Slick 36. So by moving to Mark IIF, are they able to eliminate the need for that hydrogen top-off, and now this is no longer an issue?
Well, maybe I'm misremembering, but I thought the hydrogen top-off was also needed on Mark 1.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Well, then, have they solved
Maybe
anything?
I'm completely misremembering, but if it is, they haven't actually solved anything,
think-
unless they're
I
just
think-
not worried about the top-off. It doesn't have propulsion, so they don't actually need the top-off.
That's
So there you go.
the key.
Fixed
That's
it for
the
you,
key.
Jamie.
The hydrogen top-off was to go to the moon. Artemis 3 doesn't go to the moon. No need for hydrogen top-off.
So this could be realistic. This could actually make those timelines. Like this could be actually kind of to Aravel's comment in the chat room. While I'm still pessimistic about their timelines, I love how much they're all in and like, oh no, we're actually doing this. And I think that goes to Blue Moon, that goes to the Slick 36 rebuild, that goes to New Glenn. Like Blue, yeah, they had an issue, but they're kind of firing on all cylinders over here, right? They're just like, nope, not going to slow us down. YOLO, let's go. And so how are we feeling about Artemis 3? Is it like, we thinking, I know it's a bit early, but we got a crew now, like we got a crew announcement. We've got kind of some plans for HLS and for Blue Moon. Do we think end of 2027 still viable?
Yeah.
It's summer
absolutely-
2027.
Say that again, Ryan?
It's summer 2027. That is and always has been the targeted date. That is what Jared Isaacman told us on Friday night. He says that journalists misquoted him from that appropriations hearing, and it was always been summer 2027.
I feel like we aired his exact words and I called him out on that. I don't think he was misquoted at all. I distinctly
Hey,
remember
if you
hearing
were
that.
in
I
God
remember
knows
hearing
how
that.
many hours, 3 appropriations committees,
Okay.
let's
Well,
cut him just a teeny weeny bit of slack.
Look,
I'll give him
Look.
slack. I won't. I don't think he may have misspoke, but I don't think he was misquoted.
well, hey, look, if you take January 1st to June 30th as early 2027 and you put July 1st to December 31st as late 2027, you've got like July 1st to September 20th/21st as summer. So it is technically still late 2027. So here comes astronomy to help save Administrator Isaacman a little bit there. So you're welcome, Captain.
I don't foresee. I mean, not to be pessimistic, but like, already hitting a 2027 timeline before December 31st at 23:59:59 is already going to be aggressively hard. Hitting a summer timeline, I don't know, man. Like, it doesn't feel real to me. How about everyone else? Yeah. The silence
it's-
tells me everything
so-
I need to know. Yeah.
Look,
Hey, I'm
it's
just quoting what the administrator said.
Mark
It ain't
1,
real.
Mark 1 Plus maybe by summer 2027, but New Glenn
Yeah.
launching it.
Yeah.
But I have a question about that. I keep hearing rumors, or I keep people talking about alternate vehicles for launching the Mark One, Mark Two F, whatever we're calling it. But I also have heard that Vulcan is capable of. Has anybody confirmed that?
Vulcan's currently grounded too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, okay,
It
cool.
is.
Let's replace one grounded rocket with another grounded rocket. Well done,
But-
team.
Well,
hey,
but-
if you do that, you haven't made it any worse. It's
Yeah.
not like it's
Okay.
dipped down.
let's
So-
just pretend for a second it's flying. Is it physically capable? Does it have the Delta V to get and the enclosure? Will it fit? I mean, that's
There's
basic
the
question.
problem.
Yeah.
It's getting
Okay.
it to fit in a fairing.
I
Yeah.
think you could. I think for Artemis 3, you could get a Mark 1 maybe to fit in Vulcan's fairing.
But
Fairings
is
are
it
for the
with a
weak.
Mark II body?
It doesn't
Wow.
have to have legs. It doesn't have to have landing gear. We know that.
That's true. That's very
Yeah,
true.
no landing gear needed.
Hey,
Doesn't
One-
need all
one
of its
thi-
tankage. Yeah,
It's
just
going to
true.
need a shoehorn, is what it's going to need.
yeah, yep, yeah. But Jared, you have to. Maybe we start talking about the Jared effect. I mean, he came in and kicked ass and is taking names and kicking ass, and he's made things happen. And you got to give him credit. I've always been looking up to him for everything he's done so far, and to get where he is has been pretty amazing. So you have to give him some credit. At least he's pushing them. I mean, he got Blue Origin to shut down a whole non-profitable part of their business and bring everybody over, which kind of ruined my day. But one thing I learned working for NASA for 13 years is, yeah, it's going to slide to the right, but don't be surprised when it works.
All right. Well, I'm excited to see what the future brings. It's an interesting time in space right now. Go ahead, Andy.
I had one more. I
Yeah.
had one more thing about the Artemis 3 crew announcement. There's something they left off that whole announcement. I don't think anybody's noticed. There's no crew logo, no patch. Where's the patch?
They have time. They have time to make a
They
right.
announced the mission like 3 minutes ago. I'm sure they could draw up a patch in time for launch in summer 2027.
I know NSF has the ability to crank patches out really quickly. Maybe you should consult.
We'll have a patch.
I got 3 designs sitting on my computer right now. So
All right. I
just kidding.
It's an interesting time in space right now. If you're a space fan, man, the world is talking about it, and I don't think we're used to quite this amount of attention, right? Like, we had Artemis 2, which captured the imagination of space. We had the SpaceX IPO, which captured the imagination of people for space. Like, all of these things are happening back to back to back, and I hope they end up being a good thing. And I hope that we can.
I mean, just in the last 14 days, we had the Blue Origin New Glenn explosion, which got the mainstream media interested. We had the ISS leak fiasco, which got mainstream media interested. And now we've had the SpaceX going public, which has got the mainstream media interested. I mean, they're hitting. I'm not going to say all of these things are great, but they're hitting stride after stride of being able to get on the front page of the newspaper. I mean, it's pretty crazy the amount of attention our little corner of the internet has been getting over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. It is our little corner of the internet, and it is kind of like, again, some of those were not great, but like it is good to see. And so I'm hoping that we can maintain a positive momentum and get good things out of all of this, right? I hope that the largest IPO in history ends up being fundamentally a good thing for aerospace. I don't know if it will. But I hope that it will, and I hope that investors will start taking space a little bit more seriously and go, hey, you know what? There's something here. Someone was able to make the largest IPO ever. What's next? What's after that? Is it asteroid mining? Is it lunar colonies? Is it Lagrange 1 space stations? You can start to dream of these things. SpaceX is just the beginning, not the end. And so I'm really excited to see where it goes. On that note, let's move into our first trivia question with our game master, Ryan. And hang on, start prepping that.
Are you not excited? I'm trying to get everyone excited.
You hit the live button and it went straight to live. Look at you go.
I got it to work this week.
Wow.
See, that's why I'm excited. ESA's Spectrum rocket is scheduled to launch tomorrow again. Jamie, you've made the box even smaller, so now I literally cannot read the question. I don't know what I'm asking you.
Read it in uplink. You've got uplink. You hit the button.
Oh.
It's small. It's cut off for me on uplink as well.
Oh my God.
That's the problem. Okay, I've got it in Discord. Which of these is not a previous scrub reason for this mission? It's had a little bit of a troubled time. Is it a boat in the range, a plane in the range, a COPV leak, or pressurization valve issues? Which of those four options are not a reason this launch mission has been scrubbed so far?
God.
We've got the music though. This is wonderful.
You also accidentally only did Discord. You didn't do YouTube.
Got it.
I clicked both platforms. I clicked both platforms.
I see it in YouTube. Oh, I do not see it.
I blame Colton.
Well, maybe I'm wrong. Hang on. Is it on YouTube? Am I crazy?
It's not on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, then we're going to go based on, we'll give everyone an extra moment. Head over. Okay. And then, so Sack is counting answers. He'll tell us in our ear. And let's go around the room and give him a moment to
I clicked both platforms for the record. I'm just putting that out there when the lawsuit comes.
I don't believe
Jamie, what do you think?
God, it's definitely a valve issue because there's always a valve issue. But all of these seem legitimate. Wait, hang on. A COPV leak. I feel like a COPV leak I'm going to say COPV leak because I feel like if it's leaking, that's probably going to be a very fast, uncontained pressure event. I'm going to say COPV leak.
Okay. Jared or Dave first?
I'm going to go with Chad. I believe a plane in the range, because a plane in the range wouldn't be long enough to cause a scrub probably. If it really was a plane in the range, which I don't think there was.
Jared?
Yeah, I'm going with plane in the range.
I'm regretting my answer.
Andrew?
Plane in the range.
He wrote it down as well.
I love that
no
you
one's
wrote it
ever
down.
written an answer down before. We need to introduce that as a permanent fixture.
I agree, because then you can't change your answer. You can't cheat.
That's right.
Yeah, you can't change your answer, Jamie.
You know what I'll do is I'll just write down all four answers and then only hold up the one.
Okay, let's see what chat. I think I know what chat says, but let's see what chat has said.
In our ear, Sack, what was chat's answer? Plane on the range, Sack says.
Okay. As you will be shocked to hear, B is indeed the correct answer. They have not so far stood down this launch attempt because of a plane in the range, but they have stood down once for a boat in the range. They have stood down because of a leaking composite overwrap pressure vessel, and they have stood down for a pressurization valve problem. They tried to launch this rocket in January. It's now June. Please, ESA, please get it off the ground tomorrow. I mean,
So is somebody
you think-
planning on
good luck.
Is somebody planning on going up and getting aerial photography of the launch so they can get option B satisfied too?
And you all think that the Space Launch System has long delays.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. That's a fun one. Also, we should, moving forward, we should maybe do our answers first and then do the chat room, because I feel like we're all cheating with the chat room, you know, because I already know they're cheating. Let's be clear. And, you know.
The chat room would never Google an answer.
Chat room
what
would
are you
never
talking about?
Yeah, I'm sure you've never. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, so I wonder if we should. We'll figure it out. We'll talk about that in After Dark. Talk about that in After Dark. All right. That brings us to comments from last week's episode. And first up, this one comes from Mario P8101, who says SLS. So we were talking about like where else can we launch Blue Moon Mark II Frankenstein Mark IIF. And SLS, that has an 8-meter fairing option, and it's hydrogen. So, I mean, are there enough? I guess that around the room, like, there are only so many Space Launch System rockets and engines that we have, right? Like, and it takes them out. Like, Space Launch System is not a optimized manufactured rocket, right? Like, this is not something that they're just cranking off the production line like they are Starship, Falcon, or New Glenn. This is you build one every year or two, right? So if they were to launch, they'd have to launch 2 of these things. They'd have to launch, they'd have to pull, what was that? Apollo, what was the Apollo? No, it wasn't Apollo. It was Mercury. The one that was
Gemini.
Gemini, yeah.
Gemini. The doubles.
Yeah, they'd have to do that. And I don't think they have the infrastructure for that, right? Like,
No, they don't.
yeah, so.
Only if they delay one a year and stack it, have it waiting.
Well, and dual processing, I don't think they have that option. Where do you put it? You've only got the one launch pad, or the one.
Yeah.
Do they have the 2? Yeah.
Well,
No, they've already started
scrapping.
disassembling the second mobile launcher. So
Yep.
Yeah, it's being pulled for parts, right?
Yep.
But
they're
even
doing
at that
it,
point, you can have 2 MLs, but you can't build 2 rockets at the same time because they only have 1 high bay in the VAB capable of working an SLS. So, I mean, that's out of the question anyways. I disagree on the point that it has an 8-meter fairing because that would have required the exploration upper stage. They're moving to Centaur 5. Even if they were to bring EUS back, it would be 2029 at the earliest. I am going to hazard a guess that New Glenn will be back up and operational well before 2029.
And isn't the 8-meter fairing just a pencil drawing at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we're saying no to SLS, not a viable option.
No.
Next up is Andy 6, who says, right? How would you say that? Is it zeros or O's?
006.
Is it? Are they?
It's
I think
not,
they're
they're
O's.
actually O's.
They're O's. They're not
Capital
zeros.
O's.
Yeah. So
Look at the font.
Yeah. It's Andy 6. Who says, don't forget they are going with a different rocket stand after the vertical integration transporter was destroyed. We're talking about New Glenn here, specifically Slick 36. They're planning, I say, 6 months till they can launch, maybe later this year if they hurry. And that goes to Slick 36B, I believe, because they were New Glenn's or Blue Origin's plan was they've got Slick 36 now, and then they were building another launch pad for New Glenn was already in the works, and they were already going to move away from the transporter erector for New Glenn. What is it? 7x4. What's the new one?
9x4.
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 Yeah.
We'll get there eventually.
But like, so after Slick 36 got a little bit of a kick in the teeth, they were like, okay, well, we were already planning on getting rid of the TE, and so we're just going to do that. And then I think the entire collective space nerds, we were all like, cool. How?
Where are they doing this vertical integration they keep talking about?
Yeah, like, because the hangar isn't. Are they going to do do we think they're going to, because they can already do a breakover off of Jacqueline, right? So they've got Jacqueline where they land. They got to be able to do a breakover.
But how about the second stage and mating them and all those things?
Just use a
But
crane.
Stop
assuming
asking
because
questions.
I would assume they follow the traditional path like they do still for Atlas with a rollaway building around. They just pick everything up with the crane and start stacking it.
Well, hold up,
And
hold
how
up.
how fast are they going to build this rollaway building
Yeah.
that hasn't been started yet?
Remember, they're going to launch by the end of the year. You think they're going to build a vertical integration facility by the end of 2026?
That's 400 feet tall.
Yeah, come on. Now look at how long it's taken to build Gigabay, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Just do the SpaceX method and do it outside.
just giant
Yeah.
tent, just this
Just
huge
big
No,
tent.
no.
Imagine-
Cranes
Big
out in the
tent.
open.
Imagine
Yeah,
that
roll
tent.
the-
Roll the stage
Imagine
out and just
a
pick
ver-
it up by the pad.
A vertically integrated tent. Can you imagine that tent on like just sketchy 1-inch poles that are going like 300 feet in the air?
Bamboo. Bamboo is very strong. You could use bamboo.
But like legitimately, how I guess I am not understanding Blue's plan here. Like, how are they getting back to launch without a transporter erector by the end of 2026? Like,
I'm serious. SpaceX Flight 1, like first stack, done at the pad with a crane. No vertical integration facility.
Yeah.
No rolling cranes. Nothing else. Just a crawler crane and a hook.
It may come to that. It may be whatever it takes to make it work. Get to that date. That by Jeff proves that Blue is the company to count on.
Or Blue has learned a lot from SpaceX.
have they? Have
Well,
they?
Maybe they are learning that slow but steady isn't the only way to get things done.
Oh, yeah. There's always been two ways to do it: the right way and the wrong way.
Well, hang on. I push back on that one. Which way's the right way? The SpaceX way or the Blue Origin way? Right? I don't
How
know.
much money you got?
You decide. Whatever. It may change month to month, week to week. Whatever works. I mean, that's part of engineering. Is you got to figure out how to make it work. And yeah, the SpaceX way, out in the open. I mean, that's perfectly viable in some cases. We'll have to see what Blues comes up. They're a much slicker company. They'll come up with a much quicker way to do it. They've got the whole company working on the problem, and that a disaster like that helps focus a lot of people.
I mean, that's true. You're absolutely right. Like after that they lost the pad, I can only imagine the company just laser focusing on fixing Slick 36 and never let a good disaster go to waste. You can use it as an opportunity to optimize some workflows that were maybe they wanted to fix but wasn't quite the right time. And now maybe they go, you know what, let's slide that in there and like maybe move a little bit faster, maybe tweaks. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Moving along, we go to Mike Lee, I3B, and this one is talking about we were talking about needing to inspire people to get them excited about science on science and all that crap. starting strong, Mike. Have you guys ever heard of plug and play? The answer about the average human. Relevant to this term, the average person could care less why things work. They only care that they work. The average person never wonders why things work. They don't care. And I think that goes back to us, right? I don't disagree. I don't think most people really do care a lot about some of this stuff. They just want it to kind of work and whatever. And it's our job to be edutaining. And there are fantastic YouTube channels that do that, but it's not everyone's personality type to care, and that's okay. Like, we're all different. It makes the world much more interesting. But if they care, if we can get them to care and get them to be like, hey, there's a benefit to you in this, then they'll vote. Hopefully, they'll vote for those things. They'll vote positive science. They'll vote for things that make sense. And if instead they care about the dramatic conspiracy theory stories, because those are more interesting, they may not be true, but they're far more interesting, they'll vote that way, right? And that's a problem for us. That's not good. And so, I don't know. I think it's our job to be. I like it or not. I think we have to be entertaining. Agree? Am I off my rocker? Right? Like,
Yeah, I agree. And it actually comes back to this. This just sounds like the Mac versus PC world, where people who are interested in how things work or prefer, well, this was how it was in the 90s and the early 2000s. People who were into the technology worked Windows, and people who just wanted to get things done and they didn't care how it worked was Mac. And that's true. That falls in a lot of things in people's lives, especially as we become more technologically advanced. People want to get things done, and they trust people to figure out how to make it work. But I agree, you have to be entertaining. Edutainment is a big deal. You've got to engage. Engagement is the key to everything. Everything we do, everything everybody else does, is about engagement, getting attention, and keeping that attention.
Yeah, my little like just holding up a Mac and be like, "What are you saying about me? What are you trying to say?
Yeah.
What are you trying
Where's
to
my
say?"
Mac?
Everyone's
saying?
holding their Mac up. Yeah.
Hey.
And it's a general rule thing.
I
Plus,
know.
I said the 90s. Okay, it's not the 90s anymore.
Hey, I lived through that era. I know what's up with that. So
I do like and I think this goes back towards I think part of the conversation we had earlier, which is a lot of scientists don't like the idea that they have to be entertaining as well, or that they're just like, no, it's just the science. Yeah, right. Like it's just the science.
Let me tell you, as somebody who works directly with scientists in order to try to get them to talk to the public, man, is there something worse than pulling teeth? There's got to. Oh yeah, working with scientists to make them entertaining.
But
so
Jared,
that's
that's
worse than pulling teeth.
That's
so
a problem.
I'll just I'll say it as one myself. I'll say it. We're terrible at it. We're bad. We're some of the worst PR people on this planet.
Jared, you say we. I have taken your Griffith Observatory. That is a tongue twister tour, and I was so inspired. You do such a great job, and you bring it down to earth, and you make it compelling and interesting and really fun. And so I know you were saying like we are bad at this. You are not bad at this, and I don't think all scientists are. I think a lot of them are. And there's this like ivory tower mentality of like, how dare you approach? And it's like, don't do that. You're working
100%.
against yourself.
Yeah, and I'm here with the demolition crew to wire the explosives to the bottom of the ivory tower and push the plunger. And if you don't want to get out of the ivory tower, that's your prerogative as we push the plunger down to bring it down. So at least at Griffith Observatory, our benefactor Griffith J. Griffith over 100 years ago looked through a telescope. He said that if everyone could do that, it would change the world. So the whole point at Griffith Observatory is to change the world through what we do. So thank you. I appreciate the compliment, and I will pass that along to Griffith because they're basically how I have figured out how to do this effectively. So.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really good. Ika has an interesting comment on top of that. I think we're getting commentception now at this point. If we're talking about a previous comment, if we're commenting on a previous comment from a commented, whatever. So Ika says, they don't even want to hear about how it works. They only care about how it benefits themselves. Okay. But is that bad? Like, is coming at this and saying, look, farmer from Tennessee, GPS comes from space. Your weather forecasting for your soil analysis and whatnot comes from space. Vote pro space. Is that, like, it benefits them? Okay, like, what's wrong with that? Is there any? I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right?
It's human nature.
Yeah. All right. And finally, this is from Arthur Hamilton 5252, which is, I seem to remember when the Russians launched the Kvant-1 module to the old core Mir station, it replaced the docking refueling port on the Mir core modules. Maybe the Russians can do the same thing for the rear docking refueling port on the Zvezda module and put thrusters on it to replace the orbital station keeping of the Zvezda, whatever. You get the idea.
Zvezda.
Yeah. I mean, that is, so this is going back to the International Space Station leak, right? So problem on the Russian module, it's leaking. It's still leaking. It's been leaking for a while. It's like, okay, can we fix this? Also, it's the module that we dock to for station keeping to keep the station on orbit. And so, question becomes like, can we replace the module? And it is at the end of the space station, right? So can we detach that module and put a brand new, spiffy new module up there? Or are we at the end of the life of the space station and we're done here?
Yeah, it's at the end of the life.
Yeah.
It's yeah. The people don't know about the problems they had with Mir and the previous and the other Solute stations. They all had structural issues. I was able. I was fortunate enough to go to Moscow to Khrunichev 3 times in the late '90s and watch the construction of the modules there, and they're impressive. But there's no way the engineering standards for the former Soviet space program could could plan for that kind of life duration. And you got to remember, the core for the Zvezda module is the second Mir module, of course. So yeah, it's end of life. They're just going to have to stick. I don't know why they are just sticking bubble gum on stuff, to be totally honest, but that's the way the Russians do stuff. And all the talk about, I know there's talk from the Russians about taking their modules and playing someplace else. That's not even close to being practical or even possible at this point with the station. So, but yeah, we just the NASA's got to work with the Russians to keep that thing running until the commercial station comes up, and that's of course another whole discussion about commercial space and the space stations and what NASA's doing to help promote that.
I mean, so many comments on comments going back into commentception, which is John Jr. for DJ. John is Junior for DJ. That's what we're going to say. Which is Russian program is genuinely poverty levels of funding. Doubt they could afford it. Yeah, they haven't been funding their space program very well. So like, a lot of talk. Ika says International Space Station has lots of issues, structural and biological. And then Six String Simpleton, isn't it past mission life expectancy? Yeah, they were supposed to deorbit in 2015, was it? Was the first deorbit date? Is that right? Something like that?
I've never heard that number, but that's potential possible.
Yeah. I think my only note with regards to station is let's not make the same mistake we made with Apollo into shuttle and then a shuttle into commercial space, which was, the next thing's right around the corner. We won't have any delay. And then a decade goes by but with nothing, right? So like, right. I'm all for commercial space stations. I think they could be very cool, but like, let's get them flying first. Let's get them up there.
We got the Artemis problem. If we're busy getting Artemis to the moon, who's dealing with space stations?
Well, Vast is and Axiom, and like there are
Bigelow and
well,
maybe not. Oh no.
Gosh. But there are three. There's Vast, there's Axiom, and there's one other that I can't remember. And like we don't need them all to succeed. We don't need them all to succeed, but like at least one. Let's just get one up there first, and then we can start talking about bringing space station down.
Well, let's get that Vast module tied into the ISS so they can get some time on orbit.
That's Axiom, not Vast.
Axiom's, I mean,
well, Axiom's free flyer now.
Yeah.
Well, Vast, it's not Vast, right? Haven 1 is free fly. Haven doesn't dock with station ever, right?
Yeah, Vast is free flyer. Axiom's original plan was to dock to the International Space Station, and the idea was that as the station came to an end, they would just transfer all the science experiments and materials they needed, and then disconnect and fly off. They dropped that, I think, back when they were having their financial issues and they couldn't keep up with the schedule and so forth. And now it's a free flyer.
Are they still having, is Axiom still doing okay, or are they still having financial issues? Because I just saw an exodus of the executive team all at once a while back.
They got some additional funding, but they've had to, they're pushing to the right just like everybody else to keep up. But the Vast, it's all on Vast right now, which I think when the announcement was, or when the word started getting out about how Vast was going to get up, was that they were going to be using the Eclipse from the Dragon capsule. That cut down their development time immensely. And at first I'm like, is this a good idea? And then like, well, whatever gets them up there fastest. But they obviously are working on their own ecosystem for later versions.
Ale 131296 has a good comment, which is no matter how
That's
old.
Alex.
No matter how old, rusty, and moldy you think the ISS is, Mir was way worse, and it only lived for half the time of International Space Station. You know, fair. Also, like, I'm not digging on the space station. It's been up there for a hot minute. Everything has a shelf life, right? And we've hit the shelf life for space station. At the same time, come on, Vast, let's go. Let's get that thing up there. Let's
Yeah.
get Haven 1, Haven 2 up there, and then I'll feel much more comfortable saying, all right, let's deorbit station. But you know, is what it is.
Yeah, Vast. We're counting on Vast to keep the momentum going on that. If they get up there and they start, and they've got people booked to fly, so that's the most important thing. People putting money into it. So now the hardware can fly.
All right, Game Master, why don't you bring us into our final game of the show?
Here we go. Okay. We just talked about the crew. One member of that crew for Artemis 3 is ESA's Luca Parmitano. And the question is, how many minutes? And I definitely clicked both YouTube and Discord on this one. So
Yeah, no,
YouTube.
yeah, this one looks correct.
I did on the last one as well, but this one
You
definitely.
didn't on the last one. You did on this one. You didn't on
I
the last one.
definitely did.
You did
I
not
did.
on the last
For the
one.
record, for the inquiry, for the Congress hearing, I did. How many minutes into Parmitano's famous water leak spacewalk was it aborted? This was Parmitano's second spacewalk in his career on his first mission to the ISS. Was it 40 minutes, 62 minutes, 92 minutes, or 163 minutes?
Oh, Ryan.
But you
Man.
didn't use 42 minutes. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you should have done 42. I would. By the way, had you done 42, I would have just picked 42. Like, you can't not pick 42. Oh, I see the problem. We can't actually, because Uplink won't let us make the image first and then start voting. So we have no way to
Yeah.
actually have us vote first. It's impossible to do.
Unless you write it down. I mean, I think writing it down is the ultimate solution to stop you cheating.
Or hear me out. I'm just going to cheat and choose 92.
Okay, JB picks 92. Chat room is 92 is leading, but 60. What was it? 60 something?
62,
I
yeah.
forgot my
62.
answer. 62 is not far behind.
Yeah,
Jared,
yeah,
what do you
if you
think?
forgot your answer, it's clearly the right one then.
I mean, it's a interesting split across the chat. Every answer's at least gotten some popularity.
Jared?
Arvale, I thought, brought up a really good point in the chat room, which is, are these imperial or metric minutes? So by just going, just going by that, I was watching this live at work when it happened, by the way. So we all that got very gripping, and we all were watching at that point once it began. So I'm going with 92 minutes because I remember it extremely distinctly because I was watching it.
Jamie, you already answered. That doesn't count. Dave?
I'm also going to go with 92 because I remember it was a fair way into the mission, and it was not an early inception.
But this is what I picked.
Look what we have for Jamie.
This is what I picked.
Wow. Jamie's
Andrew?
good at things.
What did you write down?
92, but I misheard and wrote 90, and then I've been 92. So I'll take the hit on that one.
No, you get it.
Okay, chat room also goes for 92. Unsurprisingly, it is 92 minutes
Woohoo!
into the spacewalk. Well done, everybody, for definitely not cheating because we don't cheat.
All right. Thank you, everyone, so much for watching. That is our show, and we're going to have After Dark up next. And for all of you who are the crew of tomorrow, who have helped to contribute to the show week after week, month after month, year after year, you will have access to After Dark, including our system support members, crew members, who don't get your name in the shows, but you get access to all of the really cool things. I did just realize for our suborbital and above members, I forgot to post the rundown this week. I'm so sorry, everyone. I'll make it up to you
the
somehow.
five of you that just got gift memberships, you're invited too.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dave. I think we did the lower third at the on the bottom, but yeah. Also, so obviously I redid the After Dark thing, and AI still got it wrong. Like, for some reason, this martini is smoking, right? and if you look at it, it's like it's viscous. It's like frozen. or something.
I don't think it's smoke. I think it's vapor. I think that's a martini of liquid oxygen.
No, it's not blue enough. It's got to be liquid nitrogen.
Okay, it's liquid nitrogen. At
Man.
least it's inert.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah. All right. That's our show. Thank you everyone so much for watching.
Oh my gosh.
We'll see you next week. After Dark's up next.